This is the appointed time for the Thursday, December meeting of the Asheboro City Council. I'd like to remind you that the meeting is being live streamed, and that warning is more for the council than it's a pleasure to have you all here tonight. We tried to trim the agenda a little bit. It doesn't look like we were very successful, but we'll get through a lot of it really quickly. So I am calling the meeting to order, and I would invite everybody to stand with me and join me in a moment of meditation, silent meditation, and we will follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the appointed time for public comment period. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on any matters of city business or concern other than an item that is on the agenda, this is your opportunity to do so. I would invite you to come to the podium and address your comments to the council. There is a sheet on the podium and a pen. I think it would ask that you print your name on that sheet, and the purpose of that is just simply when we go to transcribe the audio tape of the meeting, we don't always get everybody's name exactly right. So we'd like to have a printed copy of your name just so that we know you spoke, and when we do the transcript, get that right. So, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council tonight on any items of city business or concern? All right. Well, we will move on to item number 4, and Mr. Evans, you're handling the land use tonight.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, I will open a public hearing for land use case RZ-23-14. This community, let's see here, it is an application to rezone property located at the west side of Zoo Parkway and the south side of Newbern Avenue from R40, R15, R10 to zoning R7.5. And I believe you have some information regarding that request.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and council members. Good evening. In your package, you have a written request from the applicant. In this particular case, it outlines kind of where they are in the process with the application now, that they have completed a traffic impact study. They are being that is being reviewed by the NCDOT at this time, and they are wanting to have more specific findings from NCDOT to see what type of improvements may be anticipated before they present that to the planning board and the city council. This was on planning board's agenda this Monday. The planning board granted a continuance, and the applicant has also agreed, as you'll see in the letter, because of this being the third continuance to council and the fourth continuance at planning board, we do believe we'll need to re-advertise this to run the legal notices in the newspaper, and also to send first-class letters to all of the neighboring property owners. The applicant has agreed to help with the cost of the legal notification, to be able to cover that cost. So 8th planning board, January 11th, I believe, was the date that council, if I'm not mistaken, had adopted for the January agenda.
Any questions, Mr. Evans, regarding this Thanks, Mr. Evans. Council, I need a motion to continue this to the next meeting, which will be January 11th. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. It is.
Okay.
Mayor, I move we continue this matter subject to the conditions enumerated to January 2024.
Motion by Mr. Bell, thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Ms. Heath? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries, this is continued. So, if you are here, specifically for that request, not interested in hearing the rest of this meeting, that would be a good time to get up and leave. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay. I'm not trying to get rid of it. All right. Item 5, we have a couple of annexation petitions. Crestview Church Road tract of land annexation petition was withdrawn by petitioner J. Mac Properties. Mr. Evans, do you have anything to add to that? Okay, great. I'm looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, you won't need a motion that they can withdraw.
Completely.
Yes, sir.
That is not a confusion.
They're free to reapply whenever they want to, but
They will, just for the audience, they could and probably will refile at a later date. Okay, and item B is open a public hearing on the Master Street request. And Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item was presented at the November City Council meeting. The resolution has been properly advertised, and now is the time for public.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council regarding the Master Street petition request? Is there a ball game on? Everybody wants to sing. Okay, we will move from the public comment to the deliberative phase, and I will ask the council for their thoughts on this request.
Mayor, I move that we adopt the ordinance by reference to
A motion by Mr. Bell. Do I have a second? Second. Mr. Burks. Discussion? All in favor of approving this motion? To annex the Master Street property, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item 6, I will open a public hearing. Item 6A is Finance Director Debbie Reeves. You have a description of the proposed appropriation.
We adopted the budget in 2020.
Good evening, everyone.
Mr. Mayor, before you go any further, I apologize. Because this is an appropriation to Downtown Asheboro, Inc., we will need to get a motion to recuse both you and Councilmember Heath from participating any further, and the Mayor Pro Tem will preside for this one
Council,
item.
may I have a motion to recuse Mayor David Smith and Councilwoman Kelly Heath from any discussion on this request?
Mayor, I move we recuse Mayor Smith and Councilman Heath from this discussion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Burks to
consideration of item 6. Ms. Porter, if you would please enlighten us to the details of this.
Yes, this is a very festive looking bunch. Loving the ties. So part of the reason that we are not transitioning the Main Street program to be quasi and bringing me into city staff in January is because there have been some unanticipated delays with the railroad related to the Acme McCrary Preservation Project. And so this request, after talking with the city manager and my board of directors, we felt it was best to wait until we got some of those things lined up with the railroad. I'm not surprised that there are delays due to it being the holiday season, but hopefully after the holiday season, we'll hear back from them soon, and we'll be able to move forward with that project and transition our Main Street program to quasi in July.
Understanding the railroad as I do, and in case with you, I certainly understand that. Is there any further information you care to share with us?
Things are really good downtown.
Yes, they are.
I don't have any major upcoming projects that are ready to be disclosed at this point, but we've got a lot of great things in the work for next year. The merchants are working on a promotional calendar for next year to bring folks downtown, and we're excited about some potential partnerships with the zoo for their 50th anniversary as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Porter. At this time, we will invite testimony from the public. If there's any public commentary that would like to address this matter. Hearing none, we will have, I'll ask the council for consideration of ordinance to amend the general fund. I have a motion.
Touch on one thing.
Yes.
The ordinance amount that requested is $7,500. You should have an ordinance to amend that.
Council will note that the ordinance is item 6D in our packet. Differently described as here we are. We would now entertain a motion to adopt item 6D, an ordinance to amend the general fund.
Again, I move we adopt the ordinance.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Swears. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, the motion carries. This time that concludes item 6. Right.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move we allow Mayor Smith.
Very good. We have a second. We have all in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Okay, item 7, understand Ben Hughes is here to speak for the Ryan Patton. Okay, speak for the Asheboro Youth Football Program. Come on up, fellas.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for having us tonight. And my name is Ryan Patton. I am the board president for the Blue Commons Youth Football this year. And none of that would be possible without you guys in the city's help. And so we're here tonight, more than anything, just to thank you for your support and making this a possibility. I've got Ben Hughes with me tonight. Ben is our admin, AD, jack of all trades, does it all. Art couldn't be here tonight because guess what? He's at a wrestling match. He's, I guess, coaching. And Buddy Manus, which is our AU, he was going to come also. He's in some of these pictures. He's coaching. Just to give you an idea of the dedication they have to these kids. And once again, my role to come here tonight was just to thank you. About 18 months ago, Art went to John and said, how can we fix football here? And that parlayed into John and I sitting down over lunch and coming up with a plan, and the results of that are what we've done over the last 2 seasons here. So I'm going to introduce Ben, and Ben's going to kind of go through the timeline and the accomplishments we've had over the last 2 seasons. As you can see, the pictures rolling back, that's just a fraction of some of the things we've done. But also encouraging next fall, we're at Sioux City, come out and watch this. It's a special kind of joy to see these kids out there, and it's
Ryan left off is public speaking. That is not one of the things I'm very good at, but bear with me. I'm an engineer by trade, so I try to plan ahead, but I'll do the best I can here. So, like Ryan said, thanks so much for having us here this evening. The 2023 BC YFA football and cheer season was very successful and memorable season, to say the least. We started this season with nearly 200 football players and cheerleaders. There were over 100 football players and approximately 60 cheerleaders that signed up to be a part of this organization. We are excited and encouraged to see this kind of growth and participation in youth athletics. In only our second season, we managed to have all teams finish either first or second place in the regular season. That's very inspiring when you look how far we have come in such a short period of time. We started the 2023 football season with summer workouts beginning in early April, thanks to Ryan and some of the other coaches wanting to get started early, and continuing all the way up to our first official practice on July the 31st. This organization participated in the varsity football clinic this past summer and the Midnight Madness event as well. I'm not sure if any of you guys went to that, but that's pretty special. I thought that was a lot of fun. We started the regular season off. We hosted a successful jamboree with over 25 teams from the league where we gathered to provide awards and trophies to the football players and cheerleaders. Our final event was this last weekend, where many of you may have seen our kids on the float. I've seen a couple pictures here where we participated in the Asheboro Christmas parade. I would like Ryan said, I would like to thank the city for helping start, fund, and support this organization, and by helping to make it the greatest organization in the Central Carolina Youth Athletic League. Some of you may have probably traveled to some of the other venues over the past 2 seasons and seen what is offered at other locations and organizations. Some venues did not have adequate parking or concessions, and some unfortunately didn't even have bathrooms. I'm proud to say that we were not only provide the best facilities for practices and games, but I'd like to point out the fact that all of our kids are able to participate and experience this for free. There are no sign-up fees to participate in this organization, and all the equipment is provided at no cost. No other organization in our league offers this type of youth experience. It is all thanks to the city, Ryan Patton, and the board who made this possible, so we're very appreciative. And finally, Ryan talked a little bit about the coaching. I'd like to mention we have a terrific coaching and football cheerleading, or we have terrific football and cheerleading coaches who volunteer so much of their time and energy to these kids. We simply cannot thank them enough for all their support. Many of the kids look up to these coaches as mentors, role models, and in some cases, father figures. There are so many personal and heartfelt stories, I cannot share them all, but I would like to mention just a few. At some of the parents' requests, we've had a couple coaches showing up at the local elementary schools to check in on their players to make sure they are performing as well off the field as they are on the field. They will lean on them when they see the need for change, encourage and praise them when they see how much they have accomplished. I've seen coaches whose own children suffered season-ending injuries, but they still showed up each and every week to make sure the team is trained and well prepared to play all season long. I witnessed other coaches personally buying food, cleats, clothing, and other necessities for these kids in need. It has been a true pleasure to witness all this good this organization has to offer. I look forward to seeing the organization continue to thrive and grow in the future. Sorry, I got a little long-winded.
No.
Once again, none of this is possible without the blessing and your backing and your support of this. I just
Thank you. I'd like to say this for the audience. Spent the last 5 minutes making council. It was John Hawker. It was Ryan. We were able to pull by the horns and get it happen. And what we expect out of this is winning team in Asheboro High School. So, you start young. If you can't get these kids now, you may never get them. And you can't do this without a dedicated bunch of coaches. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I came to Midnight Madness. I've been out there on Saturday morning watching, and it is fabulous.
encourage everybody to come see it.
Thank you is another standard part of our agenda where we approve a consent agenda, and I will generally ask the council, they all have the consent agenda in front of them, and I will generally ask the council if there's any single item on this agenda that they would like to remove for individual discussion. And if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Bell, do I have a second? Second, Mr. Burks. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Consent agenda is approved. It's a little bittersweet time in our agenda tonight where, because we just had a special election. And I will say, Anybody here? I know it are here, but.
And a handful.
Alright, so, bittersweet part of the night, he say, He's obvious, I didn't. All right, command staff is all back up here again. And, they have a challenge for you to the council. So we'll start right here with, oh, you're gonna, okay. I don't follow directions very well. All right, Holly, you're up. Go alphabetically on the re-elected seats, and that Mr. Burks is first.
I, Edward J. Burns,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, defend, and maintain
that I will support, defend, and maintain
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge and perform
and that I will faithfully discharge and perform
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as council member for the city of Asheboro,
as council member for the city of Asheboro,
on which I am about to enter,
on which I am about to enter,
according to my best skill and ability,
according to my best skill and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God. Every 4 years I get this.
Next is Charles Swears.
Present you, challenge point also, without the council, city manager, mayor,
chair.
I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, defend, and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, that I will faithfully discharge and perform the duties of my office as council member for the city of Asheboro, which I am about to enter, according to my best skill and ability.
And also, thank you for your support over the years. We present you with the challenge program and also thank you for everything you do for us and the citizens of the city.
You need to, but I've seen your crew out there doing things, and I'll stay my Thank you, appreciate all y'all doing, all y'all put yourself in.
And last but not least, newly elected W. Joseph Trogdon Jr.
I state your name.
a badge.
Mayor, if you return to the dais, you'll move to the administration of the oaths.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Mayor, we move now to the organizational phase.
We're back. We got coins for, everybody on the council. Sorry, we'll hand those out now. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you. Mayor, ready? Thank you very much. Thank y'all for everything.
Thank you, that's right, yeah. Okay, now we move to the organizational phase that, we have each time there is a municipal election. And let me give the audience a little background. Traditionally, way back, been 20 years, but way back, all 7 council member and the mayor all ran every 2 years. So there were no staggered terms. At that point, it was tradition that the top vote getter out of all the council members would automatically be named Mayor Pro Tem. And so about 20 years ago, we got away from that. 25 years ago, we actually got away from that because just when we went to staggered terms, it just wasn't appropriate that top vote getter might not have all the experience that one of the sitting councilmen here for a while had. So we started at that point making a motion of the council and with a second. And so Mayor Pro Tem changes occasionally and doesn't always flow with the votes that are cast in the municipal election. So at this point, it's time to seat a Mayor Pro Tem, and I will ask the council if there are any motions to be made in favor of someone to serve as Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, I move that we, place the nomination of Walker Moffett as mayor.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell to current Mayor Pro Tem Walker Moffett the new Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second? We have a second by Mr. Burks. Any discussion? Is
Mr.
it
Mayor.
appropriate to have other nominations?
You can certainly have more nominations if you like, but since you have a motion and a second, it'd be appropriate this time if you want to vote to move
Okay.
forward. So it's a motion to vote.
I'll call for a vote.
Yes, I had a little discussion. All I wanted to say was that historically, during these elections, when you have a leading vote getter who's an outsider, that typically gives the impression to me and a lot of folks that they want to change from the status quo. And for that reason, I probably won't support the motion. I will not support that motion. But I wanted to be clear about it before I said anything, okay? Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the motion for Mr. Moffett to be Mayor Pro Tem, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. We have one no. Motion carries. have in front of you a resolution outlining the committee appointments. It's made by the mayor. Gordon, you have a copy of that in there, have you seen it?
I have.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to concur with this approve this resolution, approved by reference, this resolution outlining the committee appointments.
Mayor, I'll move we approve this resolution of concurrence with the committee appointments made by.
A motion by Ms. Heath, do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Swears. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Like sign. Okay, the appointments are as resolution, outlined in the resolution are, Finance and Public Safety is, Councilman Bell, Councilman Trogdon, Councilman Swears. Public Works Committee is, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Moffitt, Mr. Burks, Councilwoman Heath. Personnel Evaluation Committee is Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Moffitt, Councilman Castle. The Tourism and Marketing Committee is chaired by the mayor, served on by Councilman Burks, Councilwoman Heath, and Identity Theft Prevention Program Committee, which was never needed until about 5 years ago. Chaired by the mayor, and Councilman Caskell serves on Councilman Swears. So, those are the committee appointments at this point in time. All right, so that concludes the reorganization of the council. So I missed it. And item 15, I will call on Assistant Randolph County Manager William Johnson, who has a presentation on Randolph County's vital infrastructure planning for future growth.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I appreciate your time and giving me some time on this agenda tonight. I'll also mention County Engineer Paxton Arthurs is here as well. And as the Mayor mentioned, we're here tonight to talk about water and sewer infrastructure in Randolph County, current capital needs and future growth needs, and how that affects our municipal partners. First, I want to talk about some current projects that are already in the works. To ensure adequate water supply in eastern Randolph County, the county's water allocation from the Randleman Lake should be made available. So in August 2023 of this year, the Board of Commissioners voted to award a design contract to the Wooten Company for the design of a water line from the Piedmont Triad Regional Water Authority around Island Ford Road to Asheboro along I-74. This project will consist of 18,200 feet of 16-inch water line. Our tentative schedule currently for this project is to have survey and design work completed by September of next year, to have permitting and bidding completed by February 2025, and construction completed by December 2025. We will need to work with our partner, the city of Asheboro, to work out an agreement to wheel water through Asheboro's system in order to make this water available in the eastern part of Randolph County. I want to talk a little bit about the Wolfspeed water main extension, which I'm sure this board knows a lot about. The city of Asheboro, you are constructing a water line east along US 64 to serve the CAM site in Chatham County with 3.3 million gallons of water a day. The county has an interest in upsizing this line to facilitate future growth in eastern Randolph County. The Randolph County will be coming to the city of Asheboro to request the upsize of that line with the county funding that increased construction cost. The last thing on this slide I just want to mention is easement acquisitions for this project. It will take many of our municipal partners in the county, as well as the county, to ensure easement acquisitions for this project. Any easements that will need to be required in unincorporated areas will be the responsibility of the county. Any easements required within the municipal limits of Franklinville or Ramseur will be up to their discretion and will need to be acquired by those municipalities. So that's a big thing. A lot of times in these types of infrastructure projects, something that can really hold up a project is easement acquisition. So it's going to be very important that the county and all of our municipal partners work together to ensure a smooth process in that area. So what does this water line mean? The county sees this water line, this transmission line along US 64 as an amazing opportunity. Upsizing this water line will enable future growth along US 64, NC 49, NC 22, and US 421. Encouraging growth in these areas will strengthen the water and wastewater systems of Asheboro, Ramseur, Franklinville, and Liberty. There are many other opportunities that come from this line. As you can see in this graph here, at full build-out, projections show Wolfspeed will need an additional 800,000 gallons of water a day over the 3.3 million gallons that Asheboro is currently committed. This does not include other future customers at the campsite in Chatham County, as well as any industrial growth along the US 64 corridor. Infrastructure funding. When it was announced that Asheboro would be receiving the $55 million to construct this line on 64, the Randolph County Commissioners saw an opening to receive funding to begin implementation of the critical infrastructure needs in Randolph County. A list of priority projects from the county's water and sewer master plan was compiled and submitted to the General Assembly for funding. You can see that list of projects here, totaling just over $85 million. On September 22nd, the General Assembly passed the state's budget, which included a little over $87 million in infrastructure funding for Randolph County. During the creation of the county's water and sewer master plan, municipalities were asked to submit a list of projects for funding, many of which were included on this list. The list is something I really want to stress here. This list of projects is not set in stone. We do have flexibility with this funding, and if priorities have changed for our municipal partners, we welcome those discussions. And just want to spend a little bit of time here talking about our local partners. Implementation of the county's water and sewer master plan will have positive impacts for both all of our community and our citizens, but collaboration between all of the partners you see here is going to be vital to the success. And what will that collaboration look like? Randolph County currently has 4 water and sewer districts. These districts were created in 2008 but have not been active. The county has had no need. We currently do not have any water or sewer customers. We have an allocation of a little over 1.2 million gallons of treated water from the Randleman Lake, but we currently do not have any customers or send that water anywhere. So these districts have been laid dormant. We plan to activate those districts very soon, especially the Eastern Randolph Water and Sewer District. The US 64 line that the City of Asheboro plans to build is in that Eastern District. These districts may appoint advisory boards to aid in that decision making. Our thought process being the City of Asheboro, City of Franklin, the Town of Franklinville, and Ramseur would have seats on that advisory board because they are directly in that district and will have a lot to say and an interest in that line. I do want to make it apparent that it is not the county's goal to get in the retail water and sewer business. It is the county's goal to assist our municipal partners in their growth goals and their capital needs. A plan has been proposed. This is not the only way this can work, but a plan has been proposed that after the completion of the construction of the transmission line on US 64, that line would be handed over and owned by the Eastern Randolph Water and Sewer District for future maintenance. This will allow future growth and our municipalities within that district to grow their retail businesses. Again, the county is not interested in being in the side of the water and sewer business. Me and Paxton have enough to do, so we're not looking to take on any more. But that is one proposed plan. So where do we go from here? The county plans to start meeting with the municipalities individually. We have met with Asheboro, we have met with Liberty. Paxton and I will meet with the town of Franklinville next week to sit down and get a better idea of each municipality's needs, desires, future growth goals. This was done a few years ago when the master plan was put together, but we realized a lot has changed in 2 years in Randolph County, and we want to do this again to make sure things have not changed. Interlocal agreements will have to be put together. We would have to figure out service districts. How far up 22 is Franklinville willing to serve? How far up 49 is Ramseur willing to serve? How far south down 49 is Liberty willing to serve? So those have to also be done. Rate studies will need to be done. The maintenance of this large transmission line along 64 will be costly in the future to maintain and keep up. Rate studies will have to be done to ensure that we have the capital needs taken care of. And that's all I have, council. If there's any questions, there's a lot of moving parts still in this. We're in the early stages of all of this, so I might not have all the answers, but I'm happy to entertain any questions.
So, I understood your last couple of sentences, or a portion of these transmission lines will remain under the county's purview, which y'all will contract out maintenance.
Yes, sir. So the plan that I was presenting was, Asheboro would construct this line. The city or the county, Randolph County, would pay the city of Asheboro for any upsizing of that line that we thought the county thinks we need for future growth. After that construction, the city of Asheboro would permit that transmission line at a point where the city deems necessary and fit to the Eastern Randolph District for maintenance, and the plan is for the county to contract out with another entity to maintain that line. Yes, sir.
The municipality or contracting firm.
Yes, sir.
I think that's a very efficient way to proceed.
I know the commission hired an infrastructure coordinator. Where are things with that hiring process?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, Paxton and I and Hal Johnson, county manager, and Darrell Fry, county chairman, we conducted an interview this afternoon. It was a very good candidate, and things are going well there. Yes, ma'am.
Well, do you have any projected time frame getting that permitting process long and cumbersome and fraught with potential problems? Do you have any projected time frame, ideal or hopeful time frame?
The water line from the Water Authority to City of Asheboro, we hope to have completed in 2026. As far as a time frame for the transmission line down 64, I believe that the Wolfspeed is expecting water by 2026, so kind of in the same time frame. A lot of actually all of the funding that the county received from the state will flow through DEQ. More than likely, they will consider a lot of that funding ARPA money. There was a rule change in the ARPA rules recently where if someone is a subrecipient of someone else's ARPA funds, they no longer have to meet the December 24 deadline. So we would be a subrecipient of DEQ's ARPA funds. So that frees us up and gives us a little bit more time. We're not in a complete rush to get all of this done because it's a lot of money, and a lot of people all over the state received a lot of ARPA money and infrastructure money in the last few years. So engineers are tied up, construction's tied up, materials are tied up. So it's hard to put gauge on a lot of things. Yes, sir.
And first of all, on behalf of the staff, welcome Mr. Trogdon aboard. Glad to have you. At the January council meeting, the city attorney and the attorney for the engineers are finishing up the contract. The council will be asked to approve the contract for the water line down 64. So it's kind of unfair to have Mr. Trogdon come in, be sworn in his first vote to spend $55 million. I mean, even though he is in the construction business, $55 million is still a lot of money. So he's can see by the crowd here tonight, I hope you have a building stretcher too. Did you bring one of those to stretch us? So that'll be the next program. Also, Mr. Arthurs and Mr. Johnson serve on the city's team, working to figure out how to run the water line and all that too. So we've been working together for a real long time, put all this together, and it's we're close. Now we're a long way from being finished, but I guess we're getting ready to finish the end of the beginning. You agree with that?
Absolutely, yes, sir. We have 1.25 in treated and then a little over 7 million in untreated capacity. There are talks with the Water Authority about expansion, yes, sir. I certainly won't stand up here and speak for my commissioners, but there are talks of an expansion. There are talks of an expansion. I know the commissioners are having those discussions of whether they'd be interested in partaking. Obviously, High Point and Greensboro have a lot of need. They're experiencing a lot of growth as well, and so they're the main drivers of that expansion. But certainly, our commissioners are in talks about joining that expansion. Yes, sir.
Any of the partners
Yes, sir. The Water Authority is made up of City of Greensboro, City of High Point, Jamestown, Randleman, and Randolph County. Am I missing anybody? I don't think so. I think there's 5 partners. So anybody that's currently a partner, or anybody interested in buying into the expansion, conceivably could do so as well. No problem.
There, as Chairman Fry and all the engineers and actually both have said quite a few times recently, there's a whole lot of moving parts.
There are.
This is probably the single most complicated thing.
Absolutely, and that's why I appreciate Mayor and City Manager inviting me tonight, because it's really going to take a partnership of all of us in the county to serve our citizens as well as we can. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Any other questions?
I'd like to ask you something I know you probably can't answer.
That's fair.
We had several meetings ago. We've had our wastewater system study. It was going to cost vast amounts of money to bring it up to where it should be. In the future, of course, the county wants to tap in a lot to the wastewater system. In the future, can you see the county participating with us and maybe even other municipalities working on this wastewater system? So Asheboro is not just stuck with trying to get the system. Understand what I'm asking? And if y'all thought about it?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And in that list of project funds, there is $35 million allocated for wastewater needs. As I said during my presentation, the county's not interested in being in the retail business. We're interested in supporting our local municipal partners who do a much better job than we would in handling water and sewer needs throughout the county. So we would certainly entertain any discussion. Yes, sir.
And in the state's budget they adopted, there's a study to do the whole Cape Fear Basin. And part of that's regionalization. So there will be federal funds for large regionalizational projects, especially as these forever chemicals, those on the drinking water side, but also on the wastewater side, you have to get them out there too. The PFAS, you've heard that term, and 1,4-dioxane that we're involved in up here. So this is just the beginning of a whole new round of federal action to support regionalism. It's also energy savings. It's also just harder to treat, so it'll be much more to have large plants instead of many small plants.
Absolutely. Economy of scale, certainly in the infrastructure world, is vital. DEQ is certainly pushing regionalization across the state. And again, it will just take all of us, all of our municipal partners in the county working together to try to work through those issues and come together to find the best solution for our citizens.
We all, I'd also a surplus. You know, impact fee was a little wishful thinking that just the advent of this alone, with the size transmission lines that are going to High Point, Greensboro, that are in place now. I mean, it's and to have to expand that plant to hit the production. I think Bill's correct. The existing citizen business, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. It's going to be used for a large apartment complex, like Class A fire truck, things like that. We're going to have to start that conversation. It may be painful in such a way, you know, Mr. Fee and the tax, if you want to pay it. However, but if it's a cost of doing business, eventually, comes to the homeowner somewhere. But just as Bill said, we don't have the coffers to expand $200 million sewer plant expansion, whatever outlet that is. It's got to come from somewhere, and the development's what drove it, so therefore, it's just have to be a cost of doing business. So I'd encourage y'all to look at that as well, with all the subdivisions, so look at have incentives.
Yes, sir, you're absolutely right. I spent 4 years in Edgecombe County as their assistant county manager. We had a county-wide water and sewer system consisting of 6 districts. We had we call them availability fees, but we certainly had those things, and it is, and the way, you know, politically to help sell that to your citizens is, it's a small fee now, so that there's not a big fee in 20 years when things have to be redone. You see a lot across the state, a lot of small systems tend to keep rates low, tend to not have those availability fees. And in 20 years, when their plant needs to be upgraded, they're looking at a $20 million bill, and they have no reserves for CIP. And
It's like the food tax. Doesn't affect me a bit in the world in Randolph County, but it also doesn't affect the decision if I go to Asheboro or wherever.
absolutely.
It's fair. It becomes a necessity quicker than practical. And that's the school system. Hats off to you for taking these on.
Thank you, sir. $30 a gallon, $35 a gallon. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I guess I got one quick question. Who is going to set the water price for the water being shipped over? Is it going to be all the entities together, get together and work on that? How's that?
You know, the county would suggest doing rate studies. That way there's a third-party entity that's helping us calculate future needs and what rates should be. And then, yes, certainly, you know, that advisory board coming together, having those discussions and coming up with a recommendation.
Moving company doesn't study such that sort of thing. And if you follow that down and follow your development plan, how do you get through the EPA regulations you practically if you follow it completely?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, yes, sir. No problem. Thank you, council.
Well, thank Mr. Johnson. Mr. Archer's been here every night. We want to congratulate Mr. Johnson for being married all of 2 weeks now.
Going home to her now. Congratulations.
You'll be back.
All right, Mr. Evans, I believe you're back up.
Sir.
I will open a legislative hearing, request to rezone property at 306 Harrison Street. Go right ahead.
Mayor, just remind the public, I know the council knows this, but Mr. Trogdon's new to the council, but he is familiar with land use, having been a developer and a contractor, as well as he served on all our boards that have helped update our ordinances and our land use plan and all that. So he does bring a lot of experience to the board. So go ahead, Mr. Evans.
Yes, sir. So this request is being made by Mr. Robert Freeland Jr., who is present this evening, and also the city of Asheboro signed on to this particular application. So I'll get into some of the reasoning as to why the city was part of the application during the presentation. The request is located at 306 Harrison Street, and the request is to rezone the property from a general neighborhood commercial designation on the entire property to an RA6 high density residential conditional zoning, and that is for a reasonable accommodation, which we'll get into the specifics on that as well. There is one parcel identification number that's part of the request. Property is roughly 1/8 of an acre or 12/100 of an acre with a single family dwelling currently on the property. So the parcel sits right in the middle of this map that you see. It's an area that's outlined in blue. It's a smaller parcel directly in the center, and you'll see the property that surrounds this parcel is kind of that salmon colored area is the B1 neighborhood commercial. So that takes in the area along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Cedar Falls Road. To the south you see the red area, that's the general commercial zoning, and then you have the majority of the area to the north, that is the RA6 high density residential for the majority of the surrounding neighborhood. The rezoning map shows you a closer view of the subject parcel, which is parcel A. And since the city was involved in this request, we sent out notices prior to the planning board. Just for the record, we sent those out November 24th for the November 6th planning board. We also sent notices out prior to this meeting on November 16th. We only had one inquiry about the request. That was to the property just to the north, parcel B. They had more of just a general interest in finding out what the request was. We have not received any opposition that's contacted myself or the rest of the city staff concerning this request. So in terms of topography of the property, it's nothing really unusual with that, just a rolling property. And there is city water and sewer that runs along Harrison Street in front of the property. So the aerial map shows you some of the surrounding land uses. You see residential to the north primarily, also immediately to the south and to the east, and also along Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. You have the substation to the south. To the southeast, you have the George Washington Carver Community Center. So you do have some non-residential uses in the area. So this shows you an oblique view to kind of more of a two-dimensional perspective. The subject property is labeled on the right. There is an addition that's proposed on the south side of the property, so that would be headed toward Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, and that is for a reasonable accommodation for an accessible shower for the homeowner for this property for their mobility needs. And so the area on their site plan that's drawn, I believe you all have that at your place, is also up on the screen. The current structure is located within the 10-foot setback. And so the addition would be located 2 feet 2 inches from the property line. There is typically a 10-foot setback that applies to properties. There's already an existing legal nonconformity with the dwelling, and the adjacent dwelling also has a legal nonconformity with that setback, and that is 8 feet 4 inches from the property line. That gives a total of 10 feet 6 inches between where the addition would be proposed and where the adjoining dwelling is located. We have discussed this with the building inspections department, the chief building inspector. They did not have a concern with that distance, with the building code really specifying as long as there's 10 feet of separation, that there's not an issue as far as building code is concerned. Now, typically this would be through a variance process, or the zoning ordinance does have a reasonable accommodation provision through the Board of Adjustment, but the issue with this property is it had a B1 commercial zoning. So in order to even be able to apply to the Board of Adjustment, the property would have had to have been rezoned to even make that application. So that would have been an additional hearing, an additional process for the applicant. So instead of that, in working with the city's legal department, we proposed having this be a conditional zoning application. It would still come before the planning board, come before the city council, and the public would have an opportunity to weigh in with the notifications that we made as well. And so that's a little bit of history as to why that's coming before the city council this way. And so the dwelling is 16 feet lengthwise parallel to the house. It's 5 feet 6 inches coming from the dwelling toward the southern property line. So this is a photograph to show you what the property looks like taken from Harrison Street. The property is, or the addition is off to the right. There's some sun here, but this is the opposite side where there's the driveway. This is looking north on Harrison Street. So there are only 3 dwellings that are located along Harrison Street. There is one dwelling just to the north of the property, which is off to the right. This is looking south on Harrison Street. So the subject property would be off to the left. There's one other dwelling on the corner. And this is looking towards Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. So Harrison Street, in terms of classification, it is a local city-maintained street. It's of course inside the city limits. And if we look at the zoning definition of the B1 district, it's described as providing limited retail and personal service uses on freestanding parcels or for small centers to serve adjacent residential neighborhoods, and the district shall normally be located along nodes along minor thoroughfares or higher classification streets. So that's the existing zoning. The requested RA6 district with conditional zoning for single family only is that's described in the ordinance as intended to provide, shall normally be located with access to a minor thoroughfare or higher classification street with local residential street access discouraged. It also describes that district as having single family, 2-family, and multifamily dwellings, but this would only be for a single family dwelling. The amount of square footage that can be developed on such a small lot is also fairly limited. So that would be, if this were to be a multifamily dwelling, it would be allowed no more than 1,149 square feet. And so that is a limited amount of square footage. So the reasonable accommodation through HUD, through HUD's definition, is that it is including changes that may be necessary in order for the person with a disability to use and enjoy a dwelling. Federal law does require that reasonable accommodations be made to a person or persons, including accommodations to policies such as typical zoning standards. So I covered kind of the reasoning as to why this is conditional zoning versus a variance request. So the main deviation from the typical zoning requirements are setback, which would be proposed at 2 feet 2 inches rather than 10 feet. There is a small second deviation, which is to exceed the square footage, which is normally 1,149 square feet. The existing dwelling already exceeds that by 17 square feet. This would be adding an additional 88 square feet. So instead of having a floor area of 22% built upon area on the property, that would go up to 24%. And that only includes conditioned space. So in staff's opinion, that's a fairly nominal increase. So in the land development plan is in the central small planning area. That lists preservation and revitalization of existing residential neighborhoods as a key issue. Back when the land development plan was updated in 2015, we did have one of our public meetings less than a half a mile from the property. And one of the main points from the community at that particular meeting was in this particular area to avoid encroachment of commercial uses into established residential areas. And so we believe that the zoning change would actually help meet that intent of the central small area plan and the land development. This is designated by the land development plan as a commercial parcel, which is just simply reflecting the current zoning. It is in the primary growth area. We have a total of 6 goals and policies that staff believes are supportive of the request. Only one that really stands out as negative toward the request, and that is simply acknowledging that the LDP designates the property for commercial use rather than residential use. So we have a list of conditions, and just to summarize what those are, those basically reiterate that the use is only a single family dwelling, that the deviation from the zoning ordinance is only to cover the reasonable accommodation that we mentioned, and it is also that the conditions are requiring that the applicant agree in writing to the conditional zoning and have that recorded through the standard memo that runs with the chain of title and recorded at the Register of Deeds office. Our overall consistency statement as far as the application is concerned is that the property owner wants to construct a small addition to the existing dwelling. That's a legal non-conforming use, and the addition is related to a reasonable accommodation, which the ordinance would be covering if it were residentially zoned, but not for commercially zoned property. Because of wanting to have a more efficient, citizen-friendly process in this particular case, we are proposing the conditional zoning. And also we'll note the property has been used residentially for decades, and the tax records indicates the dwelling was built in 1940. So having the property in the conditional zoning district would request the need for that accommodation without another public hearing. And also meeting the land development plans. So our recommendation and the planning board's recommendation would be to approve the request, subject to the applicant accepting those conditions. So I'll be glad to take any questions. Council has them.
Not saying resident, just doing this one individual case.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Just the facts on this one property.
We don't have to.
Well, I think we need to ask Ms. Freeland, you as the applicant, are you amenable to the conditions that have been proposed by staff? You accept those conditions? That's all right.
Council, what do you thought?
Mayor, based on the consistency statement approved by staff and proposed by staff, approved by the planning board, I move we approve the consistency statement and the conditions on the subject to the proposed conditions as suggested and accept them.
Motion by Councilman Bell, do I have a second?
Second. Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Sorry, y'all had to share on that.
See you guys. Merry Christmas to you.
Mr. Evans, I think y'all did a good job working that out.
Yes, sir. So the applicant in this case is Mr. Rene Avila, and the request is to rezone from a low-density, single-family R15 designation to a B2 conditional zoning, and that is for minor motor vehicle repairs. So we'll get into the distinction between minor and major in a little bit. There's one parcel that's involved in the request. It is just over 2/3 of an acre of undeveloped property. So this request, also on this map, you'll see the area outlined in blue in the center of the property. This is along the east side of 220 Business North. It is just south of Caudle Road, just actually 2 blocks into the city's jurisdiction. And if you look at the surrounding zoning, you have residential to the east and to the south, and industrial and commercial on the opposite side of 220 Business. The area to the south is also commercial zoning if you could go several lots south of the subject property. So the rezoning map shows you that this parcel is A1. This was part of a larger parcel with A1 and A2 being one parcel. The applicant, after filing the request, did have the property subdivided, and that has been recorded as parcel A1. So that's the property that's involved in the request. And you also see the adjoining parcels from this map. This is a fairly level piece of property and also has city water and sewer that runs directly in front of it along 220 Business. The aerial map shows you that it's an undeveloped parcel of land. It is just to the southeast of Southern Drive with the industrial park, where there have been some different industrial properties under construction here. In Caudle Road, you see that just to the north of this vantage point. So the oblique map shows you a view of the subject property. This is the subject property from 220 Business North, taking a look into the property. This is the subject property from 220 Business North from the southern side of the property, just at a different angle. This is if you're looking south on 220 Business North, so the property would be off to the left. This would be looking towards Pineview Street. So on the site plan, just a few items of note. The structure is 1,800 square feet. There are 3 bays for the garage that are, if you look at the very bottom, on the right-hand side, the front view, that would be facing 220 Business. There is a brick facade on the front, so that does meet the city's design criteria. The other 3 sides are metal, and so that is an acceptable material per the city's design requirements. The plan also shows the landscaping that's around the property. So there is what would be a type C screen to meet city requirements along the property boundary. That is consisting of a row of evergreen shrubs, grow to 6 feet in height, so you would have a hedgerow of shrubs plus evergreen trees that are 6 feet in height at the time they're planted. And those are spaced at a maximum of 20 feet apart along the perimeter of the property. There's also shrubs that are spaced at intervals of 1 shrub for every 10 feet in the front yard area. And along the eastern side that borders a residential property, in addition to the row of shrubs and trees that meet the city the basic city zoning requirements for that particular buffer, the applicant has proposed an 8-foot wooden slat privacy fence along that border as well. The property to the north is also residential. That is undeveloped property at this time. There's also a screen dumpster that is shown on the property, and just one entrance into the use. So this property is inside the city limits, and in terms of transportation, Highway 220 Business North is considered a major state-maintained thoroughfare. there is a 100-foot wide public right-of-way that's in front of the property, and that's actually wider than some of the right-of-way width if you go to the properties to the north. And in the State Transportation Improvement Plan for 2024 through 2033, that identifies widening the roadway along 220 Business in front of the property to multiple lanes. But there is no funding currently listed for that particular project. So if we look at the R15 zoning, it's described as providing regulations to produce a low intensity of single-family residential uses with necessary governmental and other support facilities for such suburban intensity living. The B2 zoning district, which this would have the conditional zoning applied to it, but it is described as intended to serve the convenience goods, shoppers goods, retail, and service needs of the motoring public, local and transient, and located with access directly to minor thoroughfares or higher classification streets, but never local residential streets. So the applicant's proposal is for minor automobile only. No major motor vehicle repair would be permitted with the application. So just to give you an example, I won't go through all those examples, but that would include repairs such as oil changes, safety inspections, tire service, work on spark plugs, batteries, things of that nature. What it doesn't include under major repair is once the equipment goes over a certain horsepower. Just examples of that would not be permitted would be things like auto body work or painting or some sort of work that would involve rebuilding engines or transmissions. The really, really heavy work would not be permitted by that particular use in this zoning district. So the planning board, I will note, just to disclose, they were presented with a plan that showed a 1,600 square foot principal structure. It also had 3 bays, and so the proposal before you now is 1,800 square feet. So there was a slight increase there, but there was also a 400 square foot detached accessory building for storage that was shown on the northern side of the lot. That has since been removed. So since there is overall less square footage that's proposed, we deemed that this was not something that would require re-review by the planning board. So I just did want to disclose that item. And so, of course, this is a conditional zoning district that allows deviation from the minimum zoning ordinance requirements. In this particular case, we haven't identified any items that would deviate from that, other than the fence, which is going beyond the screening requirements on the eastern side of the property. And so I covered that on the buffering. One item about the fence: typical code requirements are for a 6-foot fence, so that would be the minimum that we would be expecting at a very minimum. They do show an 8-foot fence on the plan. But those, the typical requirement is for 6 feet on a fence. So in terms of the land development plan, this property is designated for a commercial use. It's in the northeastern area and part of the primary growth area. The 6 goals and policies that are supportive of the request, they're in your reports and on the screen. The only one that stood out as particularly negative toward the request was just that we ideally would have a transitional zoning district between commercial and industrial next to residential. We don't have that in that case. So that was the only factor that we felt was negative toward the request. In terms of proposed conditions, we of course have the standard conditions that this is only for minor auto repair, that it runs with the land, on the site plan there was no outdoor lighting shown. We would require the applicant present, if they do decide to add lighting at a future date, they would need to present that to staff to make sure that that meets all of our code requirements prior to installing that. Item D just reiterates that there is no junk or junk vehicles permitted as far as any storage. Item E deals with some details that we would be expecting with a site plan review, some more detail, but we believe as far as the compliance with the general zoning requirements, the plan before you does that. Item F is just reiterating that the applicant will need to obtain driveway permitting from NCDOT prior to us issuing a zoning permit. The next item deals with hours of operation. That those would be from 8 in the morning until 7 at night. We did talk with the applicant about that. They were agreeable to that condition as well as the other conditions we have shared with the applicant. And the last two just deal with the standard memorandum of land use restrictions that would need to be signed, and then the applicant agreeing to the conditions in writing. So in this particular request, staff's consistency statement is that we believe the land development plan designates the property for commercial use, and that designation conforms, the requested conditional zoning designation conforms with the future land use map, which designates not only the property, but the properties to the south for commercial use. And so the applicant has offered some additional screening and buffering, and recognized that there is the need to have that protection to the adjacent residential property. So considering those factors, staff believes that the request is consistent with the land development plan. The planning board reviewed the request. They also concurred with staff's recommendation. So I'll be glad to take any questions at this point.
I've got one question. I don't see any reference to any concerns or conditions around noise, so I'm assuming that just our noise ordinance would apply as normal.
Right. So, yes, ma'am. So, and that is listed on the plan. That would be something that we would be expecting as typical zoning requirements. Yes.
Could you repeat the question, please?
There was a question about the noise ordinance standards, and so that was covered. That is covered under the general zoning standards, and that is noted on the plan that the request will comply with those standards, and we will be expecting that be covered. That was one of the reasons for having the hours of operation, just to avoid any sort of disruption to the adjoining residential properties.
John, is Majestic in our zoning around?
I'm sorry?
Majestic floor cover.
Majestic, that is just inside of Randleman's, I believe.
I was thinking as such, because I don't believe they've got any of that.
So I think that's the very first lot coming into Randleman's jurisdiction, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
I don't believe it's inside the city, though.
it's in the ETJ, I would think. It's a challenging, I think you've worked out something very well here, but going all the way back to the Walmarts, you know, there's no question that 5 foot deep on 64 is commercial. Now, what we do about all the rest of it's another subject matter, but it's clearly an area in transition. It's clearly currently zoned incorrectly, but I think you've got a nice transitional thing worked out.
All right, thank you.
John, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Item D about storage of junk vehicles and junk things. What determines that it's a junk or junk vehicle? Up in North Asheboro, we frequently sending code enforcement over for minor repair shops that just leave vehicles there for really extended lengths of time. Is the applicant, does he have a timeline as to how long that vehicle will stay on his lot?
Right. So with minor vehicle repair, I mean, that is items like oil changes, and it's very limited. So the items like rebuilding engines and transmissions, if we have indication that that's going on, then that would involve enforcement action being taken on our part. So there's not, but to answer your question, there's not a specific time limit on that in this particular case. But
we have a situation on Zoo Parkway, right beside the animal hospital. And I think it's a minor auto repair, and they leave junk cars all around. I mean, it looks horrible. I hate to see these people have to go through that up there. I mean,
Started out as a car wash.
Well, I mean, really, they got buses and, I mean, all kind of stuff there. I mean, and the grass grows up in between them. and it really, you know, it looks.
They rarely move that motor home.
And we can certainly investigate to see if that's a
call Paul.
specific violation. I know with this one, starting new, they would
That's
be
what I'm
held
talking
to.
about. Don't let that get going with this.
Yes, sir, absolutely, they would
And
be
they all
held to.
started new at some point.
Right.
You know, so I just want to make sure, I know those folks on Cottle Road will call me when there's cars sitting there too long, and you've got them, grass growing in between them and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that we don't have an issue there that we have some other places. And we do call, it is a code enforcement issue.
Right.
We call code enforcement, and Chuck's doing all he can, but there's limits as to what we can do.
Right, but, and we absolutely, I understand, do want to prevent that in the first place. So, and we've had those discussions with the applicant and the expectations that this only be for the very minor motor vehicle repair.
You do a major repair, it starts off, well, we've got it apart, now we're waiting on them to bring us the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's usually,
Next thing you know.
someone paying for the service. Yeah.
You, I know that
Yeah.
you figure the spaces, the number of spaces based on square footage and usage and all that type of stuff.
Yes, sir.
But there is a lot of open space around that, and I share your concerns that they get pushed up in the grass and, you know, and we don't use the parking's just, you know, it gets taken up, and I don't know the answer to that, but I'm just saying I share the concerns that they do about that.
We need a little more teeth in our enforcement of junk cars.
I think we do too.
Hard, you know, if I own it, it's a classic. If you own it, it's junk. It's that same thing. It's full of rainwater, but I'm gonna restore it someday.
I've got a neighbor with a '68 Cougar XR7. He and I are in agreement, it's classic.
All right. Anything else, John?
No, sir, unless there were any other questions.
Mr. Avila is here. He is here.
We have someone on the, hang on a second. Yeah, you go ahead first and then we'll let him speak. Come on up.
Mr. Avila.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I'm Rene. I'm the one that was requesting this project, and like I said, I'm working with John and following all the requirements that I need to do, and we send letters to the neighbors about this too, about what I'm doing. The letters were mailed on October 21st about letting them know what I'm trying to do. And, well, like I said, I want to do I don't want to do something big because, that will cost a lot of money, and already I got a lot of, the project, I was thinking something very small, but right now I had to follow all the codes, and
Getting bigger, isn't it?
yeah, so
Bigger.
it's but I'm really I'm happy about what I'm doing, and really appreciate John, and really appreciate you to give me this opportunity to present my project.
Right.
And
Question?
Mr. Vila, just the list of conditions that Mr. Evans has gone through, the conditions of the rezoning, are you acceptable to those, A through I and E has 3 subparts. Are you okay with all those conditions?
yes, I do.
Okay.
All right. No other questions? Thanks, sir. Yes, sir. Come on up. If you will, print your name on the sheet, please.
Yes. I'm Mark Harrelson. I'm the house that's closest here, and I have spoken with him several times. I don't mind him going there because I've been there a long time. I'm good friends with the father. The only thing that we have talked about, and we talked about it yesterday, but I wanted to come here. The way the lot is set up and the way my house is set up, the way we got the 8-foot fence stopping at where the lot stops, I can see, cause the lot kinda slants at an angle. As you can see in the picture of, my house, you wanna,
Sorry, which one are we looking at?
I'm the house that's right, C. Yeah, I'm the house at C, and see how the lot kinda slants down?
Yeah.
And when I'm sitting right there on my porch, you know, I can see, the front of the building. I'll be able to see the whole building just about. And we've talked, I just want, he says that the second lot, which is, close to the A2, but you see where D is, that's where the back of mine's at. He agreed yesterday and the day before that we would go on up to the, end of the other lot there to D. It's about 100 more feet, 150 more feet or 130.
He's talking about putting, Mr. Walker,
With the
fence line
Yes,
going
the fence
down.
line, instead of stopping at that corner,
Gotcha.
because her dad,
But you can't see his.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
You gonna put the fence on your line?
No. I think he's talking about extending the fence from A1 south along C to the property line on D.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm following that, I just, now, A1 and A2 is showing the same owner, so I suppose he can accommodate that.
Yes, and I've talked to him also, and he's good with that, and no problem, because listen, I don't have a problem going there. I know I know him well enough that if I, you know, I can ask him, and if I see something I don't like, and, you know, we real good, we friends. I'm not as good of friends with him as I am her father, but it'll be okay, you know. I don't have a problem with it.
You trust him to do what he says he'll do.
I might even let him work on my car.
Now, that's saying a lot.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't have a problem with it. That was the only thing I just asked if we could do that, but I just wanted to have that down that we were gonna go further.
Well, it needs to be in the record, that's good.
And
Terry, you agree with that?
I don't think he can agree right now to that.
I understand that, what I think Jeff's point is A2 is not part of the zoning request, and so we cannot compel it as a condition of this, and then if we start getting negotiating what we're gonna do on a conditional zoning, we can't do that, so.
That's the issue.
If you wanna do that on a handshake, that's fine, but we
If he
can't do
puts
it as a
on
condition of the.
On his property, he can't do that.
It's the property that's subject to the zoning action that's been advertised and that is before you right now. And so we don't have all those properties under the auspices of this case. If you want to, the other thing, if there are parties are wanting to agree to this, you can continue it and try to expand the application to another meeting.
I don't wanna do that. I mean, you know,
They're neighbors.
I'm good that where if they wanna go on through with it, if they can, just to let them go through. We'll work on that together on the other, you know, from there to there. So,
That's what good neighbors do.
yes, sir.
So I just want to say, you can ask the council to continue it if you want to, but
All right?
Okay. That's good. You know, I just know how that would work. I just want to come and ask. I kinda thought this might happen, but I just didn't. I'm good.
we're definitely not trying to sabotage good neighbor relations or anything.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, y'all.
That's my phone, your phone.
That's my watch.
It's his watch.
So we are right now with the conditions that have been presented to you by staff and that have been consented to by the applicant.
So, Mayor, the city attorney mentioned that it would be appropriate now to make sure that Mr. Avila is okay with the, agrees to the conditions as presented.
And we've got his testimony on that.
Yes, okay.
So, let's,
Wait a minute. Yep, okay. Mayor, based on the consistency statement approved or issued by staff, I move that we approve the conditional rezoning, subject to the conditions enumerated and acceptable to the applicant.
Okay, was that a motion to approve?
It was.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, motion by Mr. Bell. Discussion?
I'd just like to add that I really appreciate the way this has gone between what Mr. Avila's trying to accomplish. Because in my mind, with a 100-foot right-of-way and a proposed 3-lane road up there, nobody's gonna build a house on that parcel. That has come and gone, but they've come up with a way to have that transitional buffer we look for, and that's a good and rare thing. I appreciate it
you
here.
guys helping to work that out. John, talking to you. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good luck. You know the rules, you know what we ask you to do? Great. I'm sure you'll do well up there.
Go across Colorado Road and just.
All right, Mr. Leonard, you got work authorization number 2 with Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have in your packets work authorization 2 between the City of Asheboro and WK Dixon, and this is for the design and bid administration of a new 10-unit T-hanger. Jonathan, yeah, thank you, sir. You can see this T-hanger, the proposed T-hanger location is on an area that's already been graded. We ended up turning the T-hangers parallel with the runway, which allowed access for an additional 2 T-hangers for further growth later on down the road as well. The area shaded in bluish purple is the paved area, and then the cross-attached area is the hangar itself, 10-unit hangar. It's located at the southern end of the field, of the airfield, just south of the existing T-hangars that we purchased the remaining portion from a few years ago. This work is eligible for the non-primary entitlement funding with a 90-10 split, Division of Aviation, and the city will be responsible for $14,116.50, and staff recommends approval of work authorization number 2.
And Michael, just to, so Mr. Governor, get Mr. Trogdon up to speed. Greensboro, PTI, Smith Reynolds, and Burlington are out of hangar space.
That's correct, yes.
So there's a pent-up demand for hangar space.
So that's, we are out of hangar space.
And we're out of
as
hangar
well.
space. So we have existing,
But we got room to.
we got room to build.
correct.
So we're building hangars, and the NPDES is the federal funds, which will require a 10% match.
We've got people that have left thinking it might be a little better and cheaper, and they came running right back.
Yeah. And for the media this here, when the planes are based in Asheboro, they're taxed in Asheboro, just like your automobile.
So if you'll recall, over the past several years, we've been, trying to get, these funds are eligible for anything airside, and they typically use them more for safety and stuff like that. But because of the condition of our airfield, we have been eligible to use them for additional hangar space as well. So.
Can I tell my story now? You heard it.
Tell it. It's good every.
For the media. I live in a middle-class neighborhood with 21 homes. There was a company in town a few years ago that had 2 jets. They paid more in property tax to the county and the city than the 21 homes in my neighborhood. So,
No kids, no
that's
garbage
why we're
cans.
building hangars out there. We're fortunate enough, because of our predecessors, to have enough land out there to build hangars. and we have demand for hangars.
Yes, sir.
So,
And our airport authority and our FBO operator have done an excellent job of handling this to get us to this point as well.
Yes,
all
sir.
right.
My hat's
And
off to
Michael,
them.
this did come forward to the council, request for approval by the airport authority.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, other questions of Michael?
Michael, I've got one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So on the last page, it indicates the proposal's valid for a period of 60 days, and since we're past the 60 days, are there any concerns
No.
there that it's going to change?
No, ma'am.
It's
I
good,
I
okay.
spoke with it. Yes, ma'am.
Got it, thank you.
Anything else?
Damn, you could be a lawyer, Kelly.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve work authorization number 2, WKF Dixon for design, build, and bid administration of the 10-unit T hangar located at southern end of the Asheboro Regional Airport in the amount of $141,165.
I have a motion by Mr. Moffett. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mayor, now's the time for items not on the agenda. I'd like to report one to the council that the city attorney, you've asked the city attorney and I many times, was the zoo annexation bill ever approved? We reminded you that we have not been notified. We normally have been. The city attorney in his researching the bills that passed found that it has been annexed. We have not been notified, but.
Has been annexed?
So it will be effective date of annexation midnight, June 30th, is that correct?
June 30, 2024, yes. is when
Yes.
it's effective.
So we'll be talking about that after the turn of the year as we plan for our growth down the south. So
Great. Good news. All right, Christmas parade, was last week, and, should have said to Addie when she was here at the chamber and the, DAI and all of the city employees that were involved did a great job. I think it was the largest crowd I'd ever seen, standing on the street, at least until it started raining. Tomorrow night is Christmas downtown, which is the renaming of what we used to call Christmas on Sunset. And Santa Claus will be at the gymnasium and more activity on North Street than in the past. And Sunset and the horse-drawn carriages will be in Bicentennial Park. Olaf's Frozen Adventures, a reading of the Christmas story at Sunset Theater on Friday, December 8th. I believe that's tomorrow night too, at 8 p.m. North Asheboro Greenway Feasibility Study is having a public workshop at Public Works on Tuesday the 12th from 4 to 6. Police Department Christmas party for council members to attend is the 12th at 6. Chamber of Commerce Christmas party at the Exchange. That's your traditional Christmas business after hours on the 14th, Thursday the 14th at 5:30. Fire and Rescue Christmas party on Tuesday the 19th. Offices, city administration offices closed Monday the 25th through Wednesday the 27th. And again on January 1st for New Year's. And our regular council meeting, as you heard earlier, will be January the 11th.
So Mayor, that concludes the business for this calendar year, but not this fiscal year. As we roll over into 2024, Mr. Nuttall and I are working on a plan to begin a strategic, update the strategic planning process. That won't be a staff-driven event. That'll be more of a council-driven event that'll have facilitators, and we'll talk about big strategic items and where we think the city's going. You heard $85 million worth today. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas on behalf of the staff. I would like to tell the council that you noticed, and Mr. Trogdon, I think I told you, Police Chief Mark Lineberry is retiring after 31 and a half years of service here at Asheboro Police Department. March 1st, we'll have a new chief, so we'll be working on that after the turn of the year. Also want to let you know that Trevor Nuttall could not be here tonight. His daughter had some surgery. She's recovering well. She's got a long way to go, but she did really well today. There's going to be a lot going on in the next around the corner here, so it'll be here before you know it. There's a lot of economic activity here. I had lunch yesterday with Kevin Franklin, and there's a huge demand. So we're sitting in the catbird seat for once, so it's exciting.
Demand. It's just a moment on the water and sewer remote office.
The modern sewer remote office is open. Please go by and see it.
It's nice.
9 to 5, just like a bank, Monday through Friday. So please go by, say hello to the ladies out there. And they're out there. They got plenty of elbow room, and it's very nice.
They tell me DJ built those cubicles.
Yes.
One of our own facilities administration built the reception cubicles where the tellers actually work. It's beautiful, really nice.
And if you've ever been
office.
down in the bottom of City Hall over there and go to see where they are now, it's substantially different. And obviously our landlords are very excited. There's generated foot traffic in the mall, so like I told you all the time, we try to use public money like the pebble in the pond and have it ripple out, and we're doing that out there too.
Along the vein of Trevor not being here tonight, John, you do a good job.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Let's start with Joey.
I'm glad to be here.
Okay, we generally at the end of the meeting just work down the table.
I've been watching.
Okay, all right. You've been watching.
I have been.
Okay.
All right, Mayor, now I took Mr. Trogdon around week and a half ago, took him all around, showed him all our projects, met him all the department heads and all that. And I introduced him the whole time as Joe. Because when I first came to town, he said, if I gotta be Joey, you still have to be Chip. Now, Joey and Chip sounds like a snack mix. So.
You go by John.
All right, so what are we?
It's Joey. He's Joey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so we're excited to have you, and I was thinking about you when we showed the pictures. We didn't look that good when we played Little League football, did we?
No, that was impressive. Yeah.
So, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to working with everyone. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see what the new year brings.
Big things. Good to have you on board.
Thank you.
Mr. McCaskill.
Speaking of big things, if the hub doesn't write with forked tongue, we're gonna be getting Starbucks, right? That's what was in the hub today. So that's one of the most questions that's asked me, when are we gonna get Starbucks in Asheboro? So I hope that is correct, and that's good.
Jim Hall was the one who told me that.
There you go. Man owns the building.
All right, Mr. Burks.
Look at the young people back there, the Trogdon family. Look how excited they are.
Talk about a sales tax.
Everyone, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Mr. McCaskill was being tutored by Miss Redding for 2 years, so you can ask Bill questions. Bill will ask me questions. I still ask Walker questions. It just keeps going and going as things are changing so rapidly as we've been talking.
I'm not sure Joey's gonna have to ask any questions, because he lived with it for what, 18 years? 28 years.
Yeah, it was council and mayor.
Well, I've found just when I think I know everything, I really don't.
Oh, I don't profess. I know there's a learning curve.
So, yeah, it is, but anyway, welcome. We're glad to have you here, and again, Merry Christmas to everyone.
Mr. Moffett.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everyone. It's end of a very, very busy year for the city and for everybody here, and look forward to starting fresh next year, because it's just gonna be even busier, so rest up over the holiday.
More demands on the city and on our time, but a great thing, and, I wanted to compliment the city staff, the, facilities people that put up all the Christmas decorations, the, public works staff who managed the crowds and the trash and everything from the last event and again tomorrow, and the fall festival. We are blessed with good city workers, and, we don't wanna ever take them for granted. And wish everybody in the room, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We'll be back here for our next meeting in the new year.
And Joanne and Holly will reach out to the council after the turn of the year. Just remind the newly elected members, even though you may have had it before, I've spoken to that to Mr. Trogdon. You'll have to take ethics again, so we'll probably set it up, a video up here, let everybody watch it. It's two-hour block.
Two-hour block, but there are online options where you can take it at your own pace if you'd like to as well.
And no department within state government recognizes the others.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
Mr. Bell.
Welcome, Joey.
Hey.
Happy, holidays. Hope to see everybody out tomorrow night. Once, should have good weather for Christmas downtown, and first time in a right good while for decent weather. Mayor, happy early birthday.
Thank you very much.
I won't call and sing for you.
He's gonna be even older next time we see
There
him.
will, at the building on North Street, there will be cider and Central Bakery cookies tomorrow night. So,
I'll wear my elastic waistband.
Mr. Swears, congratulations. Good to have you back for another term.
Thank you. I look forward to, I appreciate the opportunity, the honor to sit here for another 4 years. Looking forward to working with Joey and Eddie again and the rest of the council members. Like I say, it's gonna be an exciting, bumpy ride for the next 4 years plus, and, I'm ready to go. Let's, go for it.
Congratulations, Joey, again, and welcome. Look forward to working with you, and congratulations, Eddie and Charlie. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you in the coming year. Just want to echo, Mayor, what you said about our city employees and all that they do to do the Christmas parade, Christmas downtown. The chamber could not successfully do those events without the support of city employees and the police department. And then also want to mention, in addition to saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody, had kind of an exciting event this afternoon in that there's now going to be a bridge over the Deep River that will connect the Franklinville section of the Deep River Trail to the Ramsar section. That's been in the works for multiple years.
Years and years.
Absolutely. So it was a great groundbreaking this afternoon, and they'll be having a ribbon cutting. But that was just a great example of collaboration, and that has been a theme of tonight, collaboration that we're going to have moving forward with everything that we've got coming. So that was exciting.
I bet. It's been kind of frustrating to take that nice little hike.
I know, and then you just get there and,
look over in the creek and
yeah.
turn around and walk back.
Well, that's getting ready to change.
And we can cross the creek and go all the way in downtown Ramsar.
That's right. That's right.
When they get the bridge built.
Yes.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for being here. Staff, thank you very much for your hard work, your dedication to the city.
I apologize to everybody for hacking through the meeting. I'm glad we just had one attack.
That's a
I don't recall Joanne sat through the rest of the meeting.
Well, I did the silly thing. I told Anderson, oh, it's a short agenda. Yeah. That's always a famous last word. You did.
Of course, give Joanne a little bit of a break. She usually got my mother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trail news, okay.
Maryland.
Oh, guys,